Hello and thanks for joining us for this edition of France in Focus. This week we're asking the question, just how happy are the French people? Well, the answer is they've got a reputation for being a little bit grumpy. And the World Happiness Report, which is produced in coordination with the United Nations, seems to support that theory because the French don't feature very high in the rankings. But I want to take you inside here now to look at a couple of ideas to address this problem. So, what are people doing about it? Well, people like this have come to the Citizen Centre at the Vincennes Forest on the edge of Paris to relax and perhaps reflect on that very question of their happiness. But it's not just here. There are places like this popping up all over the place in France, and there's a whole industry revolving around this issue of wellness.
Why fly when you can float? That's Air France's latest idea, guided meditation on board for potentially nervous passengers.
Du mieux que vous pouvez, essayez d'observer et de ressentir. Et non de
The soothing voice at the microphone is psychiatrist Christophe André. A specialist in well-being, he preaches its scientifically proven benefits.
The basis of meditation is stopping in the present moment and feeling your own existence. It's not living in the past, or the future, or anywhere else. It's about savouring the present moment.
Elsewhere, well-being's been gaining followers at least since the 1980s. In France, though, it's a more recent arrival. Psychology, health, cooking. Themes focused on in books and magazines, along with personal development, have seen rising sales throughout 2016.
I felt it at the beginning of the last decade when I noticed that people's relationship with food was changing. That was the point when food magazines began to do well. People began gaining awareness. It wasn't about stuffing your face, it was about nourishing yourself.
Eating well, moving well and living well. That's the motto at Chez Simone. Founders Julie and Aurelia set up their centre in central Paris a year ago.
The idea Aurelia and I had at the beginning was to create somewhere with a holistic approach, somewhere dedicated to general well-being, with sport, good cooking, but nice decor too, where you felt good.
The art of living.
That's exactly it.
Today, Julie and Aurelia have an appointment with Wendy Renard. The captain of the France female football team's here for a photo shoot and revealed a little about her own recipe for success.
When you do sport, you feel a lot better in your own skin, mentally and physically. So things are easier afterwards. You feel fresher.
The search for well-being has even spread to the arts too.
Bonsoir. Je suis Florence Servan-Schreiber et je suis professeur de bonheur.
The Like Factory has been going from strength to strength for a year now. It's found a new niche in theatre genre, based on positive psychology. Having written several books on the matter, performer Florence Servan-Schreiber knows her subject.
Finding your own happiness enables you to be much more able to help others. That's the idea. It's like the oxygen mask in an aircraft. If you yourself can't breathe, then you can't help anyone else.
Connecting with and helping others. That may well be the moment well-being kicks in.
Well, for more, we're joined now by Claudia Senik, who is a professor and an economist at the Sorbonne and also at the Paris School of Economics. And you also wrote the book, The Economy of Happiness, or L'économie du bonheur. So let me just start by asking you this. How do you explain the fact that the French are so low in the rankings on measurements of their happiness?
We just ask people to rate themselves, so to rate their level of happiness or satisfaction with their life or satisfaction with domains of their life. And we relate this with other questions and measures that are available in the surveys and try and understand what is it that makes people more happy in a certain year as compared to the previous years if we follow people over time, or what is it that makes a certain individual more happy than another one? Is it employment? Is it being married? Is it living with friends? Is it level of income? what matters or doesn't matter.
Do you think this is something unique to Parisians, or do you think it's a nationwide trait to complain and be what we call in French a râleur?
Yeah, no, I think it's widely shared among the French. It's something that has been there in the data, at least, as long as since the beginning of this data availability. So since the 1970s, it's really a trend that the French are, in general, are always lower in terms of life satisfaction than what you would expect them to be, knowing their standard of living, knowing the conditions of their life, the fact that education, health, and many things are free, and So you take the Belgians, you empty France from the French, you put the Belgians instead, and the level of happiness goes up by half a point, on half a step on a 0-10 step, without changing anything.
And when you're looking at the surveys and the statistics, are you seeing particular areas where people are either happy or unhappy? Is it the workplace? Is it the personal life? What are you seeing?
So in France, the unhappiness is mostly related with the economic life. But where we're going, how are we going? What changes, what adjustments, what reforms are we going to have to do to make in order to adapt to the new economic conditions?
Okay, we're currently in a place called the City Zen. It's a place where people come to relax, to meditate, to do yoga. Do these sort of places help people to address this issue of perhaps being a bit grumpy?
I think it helps people change their frame of mind everywhere. And indeed, it's spreading in France. I mean, yoga and all these practices are becoming more popular. And more generally, I think this idea of an aspiration to happiness in people's private life and also at work is gaining importance. It's even there in the objectives of the government. The government is now communicating regularly, not about income per capita or employment, but also about other dimensions of quality of life, including life satisfaction.
Claudia Senik, a professor and economist at the Sorbonne, also at the Paris School of Economics. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, let's shift our attentions now specifically to the workplace, because some studies suggest that happy, well-rested employees produce better results. Is that true? And if so, how do companies go about making their staff happier? Well, let's take a look at some of the possible ways.
An idea gleaned from the heart of Silicon Valley, first adopted by internet giants at the turn of the century. French companies are borrowing the happiness officer concept, hoping chirpier employees will translate to more cheerful results.
Bonjour tout le monde. Salut. Bonjour.
Part of Bruno de Taco's job involves working her way around the company's 100 employees once every week to give each and every one the famous French greeting, the bise, and check up on how they're feeling. Her mission, to pamper them, for example, offering free massages at work.
It's perfect for the start of the week. I feel relaxed and ready to tackle my workload.
She also takes on board their ideas for ways to relax at work, buying arcade games and table football at employees' requests.
It's great. It helps you make friends when you first arrive.
The happiness officer post was brought in just 6 months ago here. So far, these workers are satisfied.
She really listens to our needs and she organises a lot of things for us.
When we feel better at work every day, it's obviously an advantage.
The cost for the company, the happiness officer's salary, plus a few €1,000 for her happiness budget. For the CEO, it's a considerable price, but one he's happy to pay because the company's performing better.
For me, the advantage is employee loyalty. Our turnover is down to 2%, so that makes a difference because we put a lot of time into training them. When they stick around, this benefits their work, and so benefits clients. It also helps us to attract and hire new talent.
The method seems well adapted to small companies, but what about bigger ones? At this pharmaceutical company, Sophie Manila takes care of some 800 employees' well-being, from checking up on how fresh vegetables are before they're served up, to negotiating the refurbishment of the whole canteen.
There's a huge amount of noise, and we're currently working on a proposal to senior management to rework the space.
The head of HR believes this post is essential. The company's rate of absences is 20% lower than the national average. However, some management specialists say it's important not to impose workplace happiness on those who'd rather not take part.
There are employees who don't feel like sharing details of their private life with the happiness officer or their colleagues because they want to keep a clear divide between these two different worlds, or they simply don't want to have to act like they're happy when they're not. These people can be very good at their jobs, but find themselves being stigmatized by management or their colleagues.
In France, awareness of workplace well-being is still in its early stages. The survey found only 2/3 of workers say they're happy at work, lagging behind their European neighbours.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of France in Focus. Thank you very much indeed for watching. We'll see you again soon here on France 24.